people trust LinkedIn, and I think that's one of the kind of underlying benefits is that there's just this inherent trust that comes from that platform. So if you, I think their statistics show that if you have a sales team, for example, they reach out on LinkedIn, that person that they reach out to, the prospect, is like 73% more likely to consider your brand.
The Science of Flipping family, what is up? Welcome back to an incredible episode with another incredible guest. I'm telling you now, you are missing out on tens of millions of dollars in private money, as well as relationships that can bring you more deals, make you more money, provide you more opportunities, because you're not doing one thing. And that is what my guest, Anthony Simonie, is here to talk about, because it's all about LinkedIn, baby. All about LinkedIn. What's up, brother?
Hey, good to be here. How you doing?
Man, I'm ready. I'm fired up to let people understand what I just recently found out how I've been misusing or not using at all. A platform that has millions and millions of people on it, and we're just missing the boat because we're just uninformed. And you are the go-to guy to help inform us all about this whole world of LinkedIn.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of wild to think about because everybody knows about LinkedIn, right? They know of LinkedIn, I should say, is the best way to put it. But usually people, they'll come up to me and say, like if I'll be speaking at an event and I'll share a bunch of stuff with them, they'll come up and say, you know what? I always knew that LinkedIn was a potentially a great place to get some business, but everybody says either, you know what, I have a LinkedIn account, I haven't logged in for like 7 years, or I've tried some.
That was me, right? When you and I started talking, I was like, bro, I've had it forever. I just have never done anything with it.
Right. And it is, it's just one of those things where, everybody focuses on the other big platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever it might be. And those are great places to go and get business. It's just that there's a different strategy, and it's almost like there's more layers to sort of peel back before you can get to the person that you're trying to target. Whereas over on LinkedIn, you can go right to them. And as long as you're cool and you treat them like a person, right? You don't treat them like they're a number, and you don't like market at them versus like communicating with them, then there's a ton of opportunity for you because, I say this too, because there's a right way to do it, as I'm alluding to, and a wrong way to do it. And what a lot of people do is they feel like they rely too much on, hey, it's a numbers game, right? It's like, if I just blast out enough, I'll get enough, positive response from what I'm doing. But really, in reality, what happens is people they're getting away from what's most important in business, which is building a relationship. And people are not numbers, right? They're human beings that they breathe and they're living, right? They have families, they have aspirations and goals and things like that. They're important to them. And so when you treat them that way, you come across a lot differently, and the whole experience feels different. And so people will often say, just kind of sticking with that tangent I'm on right now, but people always say like, man, people just spam me all the time, and I don't like that, and I don't want to do that, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, if you just take a step back and think about, first of all, if you do anything to any sizable level, you're never going to please everybody, right? And what you're really there to do is serve. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is because in the beginning, I felt that way too. When I got an email back or somebody responded, and they're like, hey, you know what? You could just buzz off, or you could just, that's being nice about it. But you
just go, you don't have to be nice on this podcast.
It's like, well, F off, and you just happen to show up at a time in their life, right? When it was like, they just wanted somebody to unload on, and you happen to.
Yeah.
And, the bigger you get, the more you do, the more you're going to see of that, right? And that's also an indicator that you are doing something significant, because you're reaching more people. And if you don't focus on that part of it, and you focus more on, like I was just saying, serving them, right? You're not there to please them, you're there to serve them. And if you have a message, if you have an offer, if you have something to get and change their life, you need to make yourself believe that is true. And once you believe it's true, now you can operate in a way that they can start to feel that it's true, right? And so you're not worried so much about the handful of people that come across and you're kind of, I guess, pissing them off, for the lack of a better phrase.
Well, I don't even know where I heard this, frankly, but it's like when you believe so deeply the thing you have, whether it's a product, a service, whatever it may be, is so valuable to the people, to the audience. The passion comes through genuinely, but you don't ever feel weird about it. And when people tell you to fuck off, you kind of go, cool, because like they're just not in alignment with you, because you have such a deep belief of whatever the thing is, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, that you don't care, because you don't care about that. They'll never align with you. Now, the key that I think most people, the division that for me, I'll just tell you my example of LinkedIn, the user friendliness is so drastically different than the other bigger platforms. It to me, it was just like friction. I was just like, I don't really know how to utilize this in the same way. And so I just kind of was like, I don't know, maybe if I just don't do this platform, whatever, I'll do everything Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everything else. But I'll tell you, after meeting you, 6 months ago or whatever, I've changed my mind completely, because the thing that you've already said in this episode, which is everything, no matter where you are, it's about the network and community that you build. And LinkedIn is, I would argue, more communal than a Facebook. I know there's Facebook groups, but it's just such a great area for community, right? There's first generation links and second generations and all these other things, right? That frankly you don't have when you go to these other platforms.
Yeah, and that's true. It's really the only platform that you can search and target people using like a multi-layered approach, and you don't have to pay for advertising to do it. So that's also a plus, right? Because oftentimes if you want to participate or leverage other platforms, they're going to make you pay to play. And I'm not saying LinkedIn won't ever go there, because they might, I mean, it makes business sense for them to do it.
Absolutely.
But right now, and how it's been for the past, let's see, I don't know, 8 or so years that I've been really active on the platform, helping folks with their LinkedIn, is you're able to go right to the people that you want to target. Now, you don't know their income levels and you don't know that kind of stuff, because they just don't put that out there. But what's great is you can search by title, you can search by number of years in that role, you can search by company. There's just so many different ways you can get creative and use it. Like, we've got clients that they're like, you know what, we target every real estate agent that works for Keller Williams. Well, guess what you can do? You can go there and you can target only Keller Williams real estate agents, right? So you can't do that anywhere else unless you're going to pay. And sometimes if you pay, you can't necessarily get there without buying a whole bunch of data in the beginning, right? Just to then go back and try to refine and trim the fat off. You're paying for all that. And so you kind of skip that step when you're on LinkedIn. You go directly to the folks you're looking for.
Well, so let's talk to the audience. They're like, okay, great, Justin, you guys are saying LinkedIn, actually there's some utility. Awesome. What is your advice, being that you're the expert here, on the best way people can do this? Now, for me, I'll tell you, as a real estate investor, I'm immediately thinking raising private money. I'm immediately thinking building relationships with agents to get more deals, right? Those are two out of the gate that I'm like, okay, I need to focus on that. Now, I have a coaching business. How do I find more people that are looking to learn how to fix and flip, buy rentals, raise money, etc.? So there's avenues for me. What's your advice to those of like how to utilize LinkedIn properly?
Yeah, so depending on what you're doing, all those things that you just mentioned are your targets are on LinkedIn for each one of those. So if you're looking for private lenders, there are people on LinkedIn that identify as private lenders, and there are people on LinkedIn that they don't identify as private lenders, but they are private lenders, and they're very active in real estate. So for example, let's say you're targeting, or maybe you work with a dentist or chiropractors or engineers or whatever it might be, and that's kind of like been your warm and fuzzy audience, right? People you love working with, or that you found that you have the best experience with, investing in your deals. Well, now you can go over on LinkedIn and you can use a tool that they have. It's a LinkedIn tool. It's called Sales Navigator. And in Sales Navigator, you can look for, dentists that are either they have something on their profile that says they're a real estate investor, or a kind of a stealth way to figure that out is they're a dentist, but they're also a member of a real estate investing group, right? Because you've got groups all over LinkedIn.
And in LinkedIn, again, and we'll get to this, but you guys run my account at this point, right? But LinkedIn allows you to filter dentist and then real estate. Like you can quickly and easily filter that out.
Right. So you could filter them out, and there's a lot of different ways that you could do it. Some people know that they're, like, say dentists. I just use that because it's a good example. They know that their average investor or private lender that is a dentist has been in business for at least 3 years or at least 5 years. Well, guess what? You can put that in as a filter. And so now, if they're a dentist and they're part of a real estate investor group and they've been in business for 3 to 5 years minimum, well, then you've just now eliminated a lot of that, fat that you'd had to pay for normally for advertising, and you go right to them and you can engage them in a conversation. And when I say conversation, I do mean conversation, because we talked about this a little bit earlier on in this podcast. Is a lot of people don't like the spammy feeling messages, and that's great. But there's a happy medium there, right? Where you're reaching out, you're marketing, but you want to be conversational. And so as long as you're being conversational with them, you're engaging them in a conversation that feels natural, more natural. Like, hey, Justin, when we met, I didn't just say, hey, I do all this great stuff with LinkedIn, and you know what? 4 or 5 minutes of talking, and then say, hey, you think you want to do some business together? Right? It's a conversation. It's right. How do you treat people normally? And I think that's where people miss it.
Yeah. So let's just use that as an example and stay here for private money. I think everyone's looking to raise more private money. What would be a good post or a good way to reach out to these individuals? I mean, just again, this is where I go. LinkedIn functionally is so drastically different than the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikToks, right? In terms of user friendliness, I guess you can say, because it is just, it's different, right? And so what would someone go do if they're like, oh man, I heard this episode, I want to go raise money? What do you go do?
Yeah, the first thing you want to do is you want to clean up your profile, because LinkedIn is one of the great things about LinkedIn is they provide a lot of real estate to optimize your profile, no pun intended. But you want to make sure that you're showing up and you're speaking to that private lender, right? Or potential private lender. So what does that look like? It's like you've got a cover image at the top of your page. You've got a profile photo. You've got an area for a headline. And by the way, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to grab a guide, so they can text and grab a guide that's unique for your audience, Justin, so that they can go get more information on details on how to optimize their profile like this.
Where can they get that? Do you have the link, or do you have the URL to give them now?
Yeah, so it's just text the word LinkedIn to 737-373-4989, and that will it'll just text you over a link to get the guide. And that guide will walk you through some of the stuff that we're talking about here in way more detail. The idea is to you speak on your profile in a way that is compelling to that audience. And there's different elements on your profile allow you to do that. There's your, like I said, a cover image, profile photo, headline, about section, and some other areas that that guide will go into. But when you start reaching out to your ideal audience, so if it's dentists that are likely real estate investors or interested in real estate investing, then you want to set your profile up in a way that speaks to them, right? What is the advantage to working with you? What's in it for them? Because I review a lot of profiles, and most profiles are either written in like third person, where it's like, hey, Justin Colby likes this or does this or has done this, right? And it's all like third person. You don't want to do that on LinkedIn. And you want to have it in first person. You want to make it compelling to them in a way where you're speaking to what they want. And you know that if they're interested in becoming a private lender, what do they want to do? They want to protect their money, right? They want to grow their money. And so when you think about those things and what's important to them, you want to include that in your profile. And so you take it a step deeper and then you say, okay, well, if what they want to do is grow their money or protect their wealth, right? Or both, right? In this situation, what else is important to them if they work with an operator? Well, they're going to want to know that you're transparent, right? And that you've got to, if you're just starting out, maybe you don't have a track record, and that's okay, because you just want to speak to integrity, right? And you want to just really put your best foot forward and let them feel comfortable enough to explore this opportunity further. And that's where you take them from LinkedIn, you take them to a Zoom call, you take them to a phone call, and you start building that relationship. And that's where, again, everything points back to relationship, because I'm telling you, in this day and age where we have so much technology, so much, we hear so much about AI these days, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed with trying to leverage AI too much. I think leverage it where it makes sense, but if you try to leverage it to build your relationship, that human-to-human connection, I think it's going to backfire. And I could be wrong.
I think it's totally short. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's totally short-sighted to think a AI bot's going to be able to build a relationship in the way you do. And especially when you come to anything that is relating to business, we all know the saying, people do business with the people they know, like, and trust. And if you're going to go rely on a bot, on AI to build and develop a relationship from scratch, let alone, right? I think you are just bound for failure. I don't think you have a shot of really building any relationship, because everyone reads through it. It's completely insincere. It's not authentic. It's not genuine. It is quite literally a bot. It's the antithesis of those three words, right? Yeah. And I will tell you, as someone who has been in business since the day I graduated college, every dollar I've made has come from a relationship, one way or another, okay? Even if you want to say, well, Justin, you did marketing and spent money to get that deal or to get that whatever. Yeah, but I had to build a relationship to get the deal. So for all of you out there thinking that, bots are going to be your cure-all, or now you don't have to do sales, or now you can hide behind the screen or whatever, you may be able to make money somewhere down the line, but I promise you, you building relationships will make you way more money. You will go further, faster. And the age-old saying, right? You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. It is always about the people. It is always about your network. You will make more money, do more things, have more opportunity because of the people, not because of, tech.
Yeah, the people are the asset. That's the bottom line. The people are the asset. And, it's not whatever, it's not the building, it's not the structure, right? It's not the, the money. It's nothing else other than the people. Because if you lost everything today, but you had a good reputation and you had relationships, guess what? You're able to just go and build it again. Right?
That's right.
The one thing you're in control of is that. And I think I heard you say it before too, Justin, that, everybody talks about they have a time management problem, but you talk about, hey, there's a priority problem, right? And it's like that priority problem also kind of bleeds its way into how do you prioritize what you're doing and how you serve in your business. And it's the people, right? It goes back to the people always, and making sure that your relationships are solid there. And sometimes that's about working with certain people too, right? It's like you're serving them really well by just not working with them. So
so how does LinkedIn, the platform itself, how does it differentiate itself to build those relationships for the ability to nurture, right? Like when you think of Facebook, you write something or you put on a video and you make a quick little comment, right? Instagram, maybe you might have a longer, copy of what you write with a picture or video, right? LinkedIn's kind of neither of that. I mean, you can do that, right? But I feel like that is not the same type of game on when you're posting.
Yeah. So there's, so you've got the whole ability to post just like you do on other platforms. And that's great. And you should do some of that, but that's not where the needle moves the most. Where you move the needle the most is you have targeted messaging campaigns to where you can reach directly out to the folks that you're looking to target. And as long as you have it's a conversational tonality and you're treating those people in a way where you're putting value first. So for example, you should not just go into it and say, hey, this is what I do. Should we work together? It's more of a, hey, it looks like, we have some synergies, and you get into those types of things. Then you offer to maybe give them something. Maybe you have something of value to give them that, for example, checklists do really well. podcast episodes do well, where you can give somebody a taste of who you are before they necessarily hop on the phone with you, because people are just definitely afraid of being sold. Like you're going to try to sell me something. And so the more you can come off as just kind of like laid back and you're not needy, that it's, you're
not desperate, right? You don't have like commission mouth, right? That's a term I used to use way back in the day of direct door to door sales. But you don't have commission mouth. You're not going out there for a sale out of the gate. Hey, Anthony, nice to meet you. Hey, you want to buy my thing? Like, what? Like, that's not how you communicate with people, right? Well, so let's just talk about podcast. So we're doing a podcast. This is going to be all over every one of my platforms. Let's use that as an example. We take this podcast. And now, by the way, for all of those who are a little bit more like me, maybe you're running multiple business, you're a little bit higher level. Anthony does have a complete company. He does this for me. I don't want to step on his toes, what he's willing to do for who and what and how much and all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you to go reach out to him. Again, probably just download the list is probably the easiest way, unless you want to point them a different direction. Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a link for people that want to book a call too. In that guide, there'll be an opportunity to, if you want to chat and like go over more specifically what we do, and also like some of the stuff we're talking about here and what you'll learn about in the guide that you download. Like we do dedicate some time on our calendar to do those, and they don't cost anything to do. They're free, so it's really value driven. When I talk about value, it's like I don't tell you to deliver value to people up front and then we don't do the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where it doesn't make sense for somebody to work with us.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that they are pointed in the right direction, because we've had so many people that we did not take on as a client, and they send us referrals all the time. So it's just about treating people the right way, right? Being cool to them.
Amen. And so again, give everyone the phone number to download this checklist.
Yeah, so that phone number again is, so you want to text the word LinkedIn. Just make sure you have it spelled correctly. And send it to 737-373-4989. 737-373-4989. We should do like a jingle for that, right?
We should. So that being said, let's talk about this episode. So you're running my LinkedIn. What do you do with this? It's called The Science of Flipping. It's real estate investing specific. Where are you posting this? Who are you going to target? What is the messaging from your team going to go out on my LinkedIn?
So for this episode, for you or for me to sort of promote?
For me. So like someone like myself, now you do it for me, right? So just say, what would you be doing for me, for my own episode, to promote this episode with you on it, right?
Yep.
What kind of language, what kind of copy, what kind of messaging, who are you going to target?
Oh, yeah. So this is, this is easy, because so many people are interested in LinkedIn. They just don't, even the people on LinkedIn, this is the funny thing. It's like, so what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll offer it to people, and it will talk about, hey, on this episode, I interviewed Anthony Simonie. He went deep into, how to leverage LinkedIn, and this episode is going, by the way, this episode is going here. And there's there's this many people in the audience that listen to this podcast. And so immediately you build this credibility, and they're going, okay, so yes, I do want to see if there's some tips I can use for growing LinkedIn, because I'm actually viewing this on LinkedIn, right? I'm on LinkedIn and I'm seeing this message, and it's offering me some value, and it's not even asking me to necessarily opt in or to do anything else other than, hey, this is a value add for you as somebody in my connection, network. And so we will offer it like that. We'll post it on your, on your newsfeed and that kind of thing, because this is something that for your audience, we know that they want this kind of information, right? They want to know how to get more private money. They want to know how to go get referral relationships built with agents and maybe some asset managers that they can get in contact with, which, by the way, there's a whole bunch of them on LinkedIn. So there's so many different ways that your audience can take this information and leverage it. They're going to be interested in it. So what we're going to do is simply put together a campaign to offer this episode to them and just drive them to go over and see it and get the value. And
do you just put it on my thread, or do you go target like anyone that says they're a real estate investor, anyone that says, like, how would you do you target people, or do you just put it on my thread and that's all you would do?
Both. So you have it on the thread, and you'll have it in messaging campaigns to where it's going out to specific folks. So real estate investors, for one, because we know that your group is real estate investors, right? And also private money. So, what's crazy about this is that we talk about targeting people for private money, but you know that you can actually, they're looking for deals as well. So it's like what you're doing is you're just kind of like fulfilling the parts of the equation, right? You're plugging the pieces in. They're looking for something, right? And so it's like, we have private lender clients that they look for the right deals, the right operators, right? It's like they don't want to just put their money just anywhere, especially right now, right? They want to deal with the people that know what they're doing and that have a solid backing. They kind of pass the smell test, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So they're looking for that kind of stuff. And so that's what's so great about this moment in time is that everybody's open to a conversation. Because, we're just like, it's an election year, right? And it's like, there's a lot of different stuff going on. And there's a lot of people that are stepping back. But there's a lot of people that are really smart that's been through this before, like, 2008, 2009, that they're like, no, screw that. I'm going to double down because I know this is cyclical and I'm going to come out the other side a lot better off than the competition if I just
no doubt
stick with it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The thing that I think everyone needs to understand is building credibility, influence, and authority, regardless of the marketplace, meaning Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever place you are trying to do it. Everyone should be on all of them, right? And to your point, Anthony, is deliver value, try to make some impact, right? Deliver good stuff. And then if you want to ask for a conversation, say, hey, I think I can help you do the thing or whatever this is, that's where you want to go, right? And that's where the whole salesmanship comes into play, which you and I have talked about, right? Where it's now you got to nurture the relationship. And that's something that you have a wealth of knowledge on, a huge, background in is let's talk a little bit about now you have the relationship. How do you nurture it? How do you stay engaged? How do you follow up with them? How do you because that's the part. Everyone wants to get the relationship. Now you got it. And to your point, a lot of people get very, I call it commission mouth. They get very like, oh, let me try to sell them right now while I get them on the phone. That's not the play most often, right? Like 99% of the time, that's not the play. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, you're right. And, the truth of the matter is you have to look at it. And one of the biggest tips I could give everybody that changed my life, and it's changed a lot of others' lives that I've shared it with, is that, before you get on a call, ask yourself how you can serve the person. Don't ask yourself or start talking to yourself, self-talk where you're like, hey, I need this person as a deal. I need this person as an investor. I need this person as a client, whatever it is, whatever you call your person. Because then that energy, it's weird to think about, but that energy comes across in your conversation and they feel it, right? We all been in conversations. If you think about it, step back and think about it. They just felt unnatural, right? It felt like, this just doesn't feel good. And then we've been in conversations where maybe it's the first time you met somebody and you're like, wow, we are just like kindred spirits, right? It's like brothers from another mother, kind of like what we had the first time we talked, Justin. And so it's all about going into the conversation with the right pre-frame, your right mindset, if you will, and not worrying about whether or not what the outcome is. Because a lot of times if you do that, even if that person, because a lot of times that person may not be your person, but you know what that person does have?
Other relationships.
Oh, man. I don't care who you are. Everybody knows somebody that is an ideal person for you. And people love to help other people.
That's right.
And so if you're really cool to them and you don't treat them like a number and you have a good conversation and you just ask, there's nothing wrong with asking. Hey, if we had a great conversation, hey, listen, Justin, it sounds like maybe you're not an ideal fit for what we do right now, but would you do me a favor? Well, yes. Can I get your commitment that if you run across anybody that my stuff makes sense for, would you send them my way?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, how easy is that?
You know what happens with that too is that we as human beings, even if we don't want to admit it or we don't want it to be true, our word means something.
Yeah.
So it's going to haunt you a little bit. Maybe you don't do it. Maybe you're the person that can get away with saying it and not doing it, but it's still going to feel it. Right.
Yeah.
You're still going to feel it a little bit. Right.
Now you have a whole side of your business that helps people nurture these relationships and follow up with these relationships. Do we want to talk about that here? Is that something that, you think people should be reaching out to you for?
Possibly, it's that sort of client is very, it's very specific because, everybody can learn from it. So it's really the basis of it is, if we talk about email for a second, like emails went through some really crazy changes in the past, 6, 12 months. And I could tell you just even the highest level folks, there's problems. And sometimes they're not aware of the problems, and we find those problems and we help them fix them. Right. And then that's one side. And then we have another part of it that will set up email in a way that allows them to get the most out of what they're trying to do and builds the affinity and the rapport that they need to be able to maximize their efforts. Because look, at the end of the day, advertising costs are not going down. They're going up, and it costs more to get a client. So if you're not maximizing the ROI from your email list and you're not doing it the right way, I mean, it's tough, right? It's just tough times. And so you just have to do it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think what we can take from already this half hour or so we've been on, the key is first, everyone needs to reach out to Anthony about LinkedIn, because it is just a platform that's not going away. This isn't it's been around for a long time. And if you can utilize it and understand it in the way that I'm doing now, you'll just create more, again, credibility, influence, and authority, if nothing else. It is a branding play, if nothing else. People now know what you do. They know what you stand for. They know what you're trying to achieve. And when the time's right, they'll reach out to you. If nothing else, you need to be utilizing LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, Justin, because something I did not mention is all the internet, quote, gods love LinkedIn. LinkedIn has for those of you who may know a little bit about SEO, search engine optimization, they have a near perfect Moz domain score. So if you look them up, you can look it up online, Moz domain, you could type in LinkedIn, and it's like 99%. And 100% is the best you can do. But the point is that Google loves LinkedIn. And so your LinkedIn profile, whether or not it's optimized, is showing up. Like, so people search your name, and they will. I mean, that's the world we live in. LinkedIn your profile is going to show up at least on the first page, and most of the time in the very first position on that search. And so it makes sense, if for nothing else, like you're saying, to your point, to show up in your best light, right? Show that the lights are on. Show that you know what you're doing. Because if you're dealing with professionals and they're on LinkedIn, and then they hop on your LinkedIn account, and it looks like there's tumbleweeds going across and all that kind of stuff, it's just going to count against you, whether you like it.
Yeah, listen, I kind of say, in a way, my own way of saying this is they need to know what you do for them to know anything. And so at the very minimum, people will need to know what you do, what you're trying to do, right? And then what you want. Those are the big three for me. What do you do? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? And then what do you want? And if you just outwardly put that places, then at least people know who they're engaging with if they want to engage with you. If I come across a profile that is a, car leather upholstery guy for car seats, I have very little reason to communicate with him, right? But if I come across someone who's a real estate investor, private money lender, social media expert, I just recently came across a YouTube expert, I'm like, I need to talk to this person because YouTube's another one of those behemoths that I'm trying to figure out, right? And so they just need to know what you do, right? That is the best way I can say it. And if they do, at minimum, your presence will show. And if they're interested in communicating, they know exactly what they're going to get from you.
Yeah, 100%. People bounce around the internet all the time now. So, I mean, they're just bouncing around the different profiles. But what's great is, like I said, people trust LinkedIn. And I think that's one of the kind of underlying benefits is that there's just this inherent trust that comes from that platform. So if you, I think their statistics show that if you have a sales team, for example, they reach out on LinkedIn, that person that they reach out to, the prospect, is like 73% more likely to consider your brand, just because of the trust that's inherent on LinkedIn. So, there's a lot of benefits that aren't like just, coming out hitting you in the face and are completely evident, that are there as well.
I love it. Well, thank you, bro. Thank you very much for coming on. Everyone needs to give me the phone number one more time so they can get their LinkedIn free download.
And just for those that need some help there, it's LINKEDIN. Okay, LinkedIn.
Thank you.
737-373-4989. 737-373-4989. And Justin, there is a link for your people here for if they want to book a chat. It's cesession.com/chat.
cesession.com/chat.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Well, dude, thank you so much. I know you're helping me greatly. And by the way, if he's good enough for me, I know he's going to be good enough for you guys. You need to get at least his download, understand a little bit more, and then book a chat. See what he and his team can do for you guys in your business. It has been a great episode, dude. Thank you so much, brother, for coming on here and shedding some light. And I look forward to you teaching my crew in Miami here coming up in August, the world of LinkedIn. That'll be awesome for the science of flipping.
Absolutely. Honored, man. I'm loving it.
All right, dude. All right, y'all. That is it for this episode of the Science of Flipping. If we gave you some good value, you learned a couple things, and you think someone else could use it, please share it with 2 of your friends. I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll see you on the next episode with some other incredible guests. See you then. Later.